bright celestial rising, divine afternoon, and successful night to all mirages watching this mindful message. It's your divine reflection, divine messenger, and we are back with another message. I understand. If you choose to and you enjoy these videos, make sure you like, comment, subscribe for more observations that help us understand what's really going on. And we're going to get straight into it because this is a major problem and a big detriment upon society as far as what's happening just with the children, people, just life as a whole. And I've seen this post. Americans are starting to question why so many prominent celebrities have trans children. What is interesting to me is that many of the biggest stars in Hollywood were adopting children from different countries during the early 2000s, and many of the children they adopted have transitioned. And
You can serve it to
if we just notice, if we just notice this right here, because and this is not really important as far as the celebrity aspect. What's important is the children getting trafficked and how all this stuff has been normalized. And it's very unfortunate that many kids have to witness this and go through this. But this is what a lot of them had to do. They had to make a sacrifice to Satan. They had to give up their firstborn, their secondborn. They had to give up their children to maintain their image. They had to maintain their fame. They had to keep on doing what the oppressor tells them to do. Because if they don't do that, then what happens to their family? And this is exactly why, too, this effect right here has trickled over into our communities, even just being an average working citizen. There are many people that who don't know that they're a part of the same exact script. And it's really crazy because adults don't understand that they're also a part of it. And even if they're not celebrities, many adults don't know that even in the hospitals, they atomicized and automatically altered the gender of their own being, their own kids, their own youth when they were in the womb. And the parent most likely didn't even know about that because they weren't even aware. They probably were drugged up, probably were asleep or tired. And once you get that in a utero effect, once you infuse a testosterone supplement or drug or you do whatever and in utero once you are altering this being that's when their gender alters right in front of your face and you won't even know and then that's when you may have this boy questioning are these supposed to be for girls or should I just do it or wear it or play with it, whatever? And if you don't tell this child about themselves, and if you think as if what they're doing is okay, and if you don't even question what you're doing, if you think what you do is okay, then that's a problem as well because the child is going to be. The child will do what a child will do. The child is going to be what a child is going to be. You cannot change that, nor should you. And things as well if you understand that society can shape your child, family, school, the media, all these things can shape, even the church as well, all these things can shape your child's mind. So if people are not aware of this stuff, it'll just keep on happening, even on Netflix, it'll happen in school systems. And I've been telling people if society or humanity is not being aware of this, if we're not spreading awareness on this stuff, if we're not speaking up on how this can get handled, because people are they're canceling their subscription on Netflix because Netflix had to portray transgenderism as far in a kids show, and they placed that into a movie format, and people are canceling subscriptions. But that won't change anything because they're still going to promote it in schools, even on social media. So you can cancel it all you want, but we have to have a conversation with the negotiators who are allowing these things to happen scientifically, even in the doctorate degrees or hospitals, even in politically. These people have the power to change these things, but they won't let that happen because it's been happening to them and their bloodline for ancient amount of times beyond eons and centuries. So when families keep thinking as if this is okay, they were doing it and they will keep on doing it, and they were doing it because they were gaining something from that. If you make a sacrifice to Satan or Moloch or Baal, what do you think you will gain? You will gain everything and then some, but at the price of what? You sacrifice your child and yourself because you wanted to be financially free. You wanted to stop paying bills. You wanted to stop clocking into a 9 to 5 job. You wanted to stop pleasing somebody else's life. But yet you put us in this situation, and I can't relate to what other people have been transformed into. But being born into this inversion of Baphomet experimentation, it's sickening to see that many people will get mad at me for speaking on this truth, and yet they don't see that this is the reason why many people are afraid of seeking the truth. And you can even go through a book to tell you this exact same information. So people will sit here and say, everything that you're talking about is conspiracy. I don't believe in this stuff. And not everybody is this or that or whatever. And this stuff doesn't exist. You're a conspiracy theorist. But yet, if I go on Amazon right now, I got one book right here. So somebody made this book. I don't know if y'all can see that. Sexual Inversion, A Critical Condition by Ivan. And that's just on Amazon alone. So if I search sexual inversion and just look at the list of all the books that they have telling you, these people got to tell you what they've been doing. Sexual inversion. There's this documentations and information of all the things that they have been letting transpire into our communities. And many people will still avoid these, like studies in the psychology of sex. They have been doing this stuff, and yet people will deny and deny, even if you put it in gematria form, people will still deny what they may be altered in. And I know because it sucks, but that's the reason why people had to stop being afraid of what needs to be talked about. And hopefully y'all could hear me this whole entire time. Yeah, I think y'all could. Okay. And I was just reading different comments and stuff as well. So I know this is already AI, just the way they structure their sentence, but and they got the blue check mark. So, many people are looking for engagement. So let's go ahead and read this AI thought and we'll just contradict it. The same script, the same cities, the same children, and nobody's allowed to ask why. Because the moment you ask why, you start decoding what the simulation hides as far as copying and replicating cloned consciousness. First, they said love is love, then they said gender is a costume. Now they say if you notice the pattern, you are the problem. And thing is, too, gender is a costume that our identity does wear. Now, this love is love thing, I don't agree with that because people who think like this still think touching children and altering children's gender is love, and that's not love to me. These aren't isolated stories. They are blueprint loops, the same faces, the same timelines, adoption, transition, media parade. You think it's happening. You think every rich couple just happened to raise a non-binary teen like it's a rescue mission. This is an activism, it's ritual signaling, and the kids are the currency. Thank you, AI, and of course, people would think like, bro, your thoughts are so, like, you can just really see. And how you can see is this. This isn't activism, it's ritual signaling. Those two right there just let me know that this is artificial intelligence. What the hell? So yeah, why do the transitions clutter in elite homes? Why are there same networks applauding every single one? Why does resistance feel like blasphemy? Because this isn't a conversation, it's a spell. They didn't raise them to be free, they raised them to be proof, to sell the next face, to melt the mind, to confuse the next generation until compliance looks like compassion. If you can't ask why, you're already in the ritual. This part, the only part I agree with. You're already in the ritual. So many people who are in this ritual, they don't understand that they're a part of the siphoning for their energy that's going to tell them about themselves, but they'll refuse because, yeah. Okay. Dear trans community, don't tell me I have to accept you for who you are when you couldn't accept yourself for who you were. And I like this message for the ones who are in the adult phase of their life because a lot of them think as if you had to accept this way of life in their community. No. And if I was to join a community, let's say the spiritual or conscious community, I wouldn't want other communities to conform or even to follow what I'm doing because that wouldn't be true to self. And that's why I don't join communities because these communities are still boxing in what they're practicing through ritualistic initiations and their rites of passage. So if you don't follow that, you're not obligated to be one of them, or you're not accepted as what they want you to be. And I don't want to be your expectation because I don't want to meet up to it because it means nothing and it holds no higher ascension for me to learn from. So it's meaningless. Once you understand that, you don't let them tell you about how you live your life just because they don't accept how you're living your life. And this is why they have a hard time accepting that other people don't have to conform to their delusion. This one right here. Let me see.
Vagina is a portal into this physical world. She is magnetic, she attracts. Man is electric, he is action. She represents the moon, the subconscious, emotional and indirect. He represents the sun, the conscious mind, direct and logical. Female speaks subconsciously. If she is hungry, she will say, "Are you hungry?" Males speak directly. If they are hungry, they will say, "We're getting food." Direction and indirection. Lines and curves. The binary code of reality, 0 and 1. Physical world is governed by electromagnetism. Everything is either electric, direct, or magnetic, indirect. Everything in the universe is connected and has either electrical or magnetic qualities. Everything follows the code of the atom. If you want your relationship to thrive, just study the subconscious and the conscious mind and their relationship with each other. You will then understand how the opposite sex in your relationship functions.
Very interesting. To invert divine order. This is the one I do agree with. Dismantle natural polarity and sever humanity from a sacred blueprint. Women are magnetic, men are electric. And I think it's too, we both are the magnetic charge that we need to electrify every single day. She pulls, she receives, she draws in. The woman's original vortex, a magnetic gateway between spiritual and matter. He moves, he penetrates, he activates, meaning that our chaos penetrates and activates her alchemical gateway that will materialize the realms that can be physical or spiritual. Masculine energy is linear, structure is charged with intention. Together, polarity creates life. Electric plus magnetic equals a electromagnetic field. And that's exactly why, too, to harvest that to take that energy of polarity and create life by mimicking it. That's why this inversion of the electromagnetic field is altered and switched into what we see today. So that's why many men are now magnetic and many women are electric. That's why a lot of women are, for one, a lot of them are being this. So because they got this, they're fucking up the whole balance for life. And all they're doing is just basically penetrating and activating the womb of other beings that don't know their own gateway. So they're just, it's like consuming thoughts in different dimensions or a void. And then the thing is too, the celebrities, they all do this stuff because in order for celebrities that we see today, for them to keep being in movies and shows, for them to keep being on podcasts and radio stations and interviews, they had to tell you about their initiation for their children and themselves as well. But they won't uncover that. So somebody can say, "Well, I don't believe in this stuff because celebrities never come out and say that they're transgender." Well, duh. And when they do, people still deny it. Recently, Kevin Durant even said that he was a woman, and people still don't see anything about it. Whole entire time, Kevin Durant was telling people that he is literally Joanna Man. And I told Skull and Gate that, and Skull and Gate already did the whole Skull and Gate already did the whole dialysis on that. But look, Kevin Durant posts a female version of himself on IG saying that's his girlfriend, my love, his self, Easy Money Sniper, telling you if your love is a female version of yourself, that can only mean one thing. You are in love with yourself. And there's a reason for that. Because people don't know that that's a grown ass 6'11" woman on testosterone who you may think is the greatest scorer of all time. So these people are telling you what they are, and people will still think as if, oh, like somebody will really tell themselves that Kevin Durant looks better as a woman. But realistically, you're just infatuated by who she is without the wig on, without the makeup on. So she's being herself, but you don't see that because you may think as if she's not your ideal woman. But realistically, you don't know what a woman is because that's the reason why they've been altering our gender since before you and I were even born. They want you to question your sexuality. They want you to question who you are and what you give birth to. So, excuse me, that's like meaning biologically. If you sleep with a woman who was altered, or a man who was altered, and you get pregnant by them, or you give birth, or you share a birth path with this being, and they give birth to your child, and you're not aware of it, you literally just sacrifice your child, not only just seeing them being inverted, you sacrifice this being to Moloch or to Satan or Baphomet. So you're literally just consenting to a silent agreement that people sign their nature away into. That's literally selling your morality or your dignity by even having a child. For every one celebrity with a trans child, there are 250 without one. It's not new, nor is it a trend. Exactly, it's just been happening. There are 250. There are many people out there that still have trans children. Their child is a small price to pay for the extended fame they get from other people. See, in Hollywood, can't make it up. Also, the woke mob in Hollywood is about control through conformity. Let's see here.
Says, Daddy, I want to be a girl. And you just let him rock with that. You just let
Right.
almost forgotten what the role of a parent is.
Amen.
It's like, okay,
Lost control.
if your little boy comes to you and says, Daddy, I want to be a girl. And you just let him rock with that. You just let,
Right.
he's 5.
Right. And where did he get that
If
from?
you let this 5-year-old boy decide to eat candy all day, he's going to do that.
Exactly.
Like, when did it become a good idea to let a 5-year-old, let a 6-year-old, let a 12-year-old make a life-changing decision for themselves?
Right.
When did that happen?
Right.
Like, I don't understand that. I don't get that.
And to medicate these young kids that are 5, 6.
And then basically they're talking about what they witnessed because if you really think about it, really still ask yourself, how is it that, and I understand most people go through puberty differently, but as a grown ass man, how is it that you don't even have a beard? You don't have an outline of your beard. You don't have aftershave. You don't have a goatee. You barely have a mustache. How is it that your testosterone is not showing on your face or even just your body as well? They're basically talking about what they went through and they feel some kind of way. So where they have these conversations that they make themselves portrayed as what you think they are, but they're not being themselves. So they can only have a conversation about what's happened to them as far as satanic ritual and version abuse.
Growing up and knowing that it affects their brain, it affects their organs, it makes them sick, but they're not allowed to do drugs, they're not allowed to do alcohol.
Right.
We can
He
medicate them
can't
up.
drive a car yet, but he can decide his sex.
Right, right. What sexual orientation, and he can cut up his pee and that to me that makes no sense
And it's,
whatsoever.
so I don't know if this is true, but I heard a rumor that they either passed or are trying to pass a law in LA that states if your child comes to you and asks to do some of these things and you say no, they can take your kid from you.
Yeah, that's true. Just passed in California.
That does
And if this is true, hold on, because we got to go back.
things and you say no, they can take your kid from you.
Yeah, that's true.
They can take your kid from you if you say no to letting your child's gender get altered. So they're basically saying if you don't give us what you gave birth to, we're going to sacrifice your child, whether you like it or not. So you better do it or we're going to do it. What's your choice? This is where we at in life. And people think anything else matters, but this shit does not matter. These are the things that are happening to our people. And it's just a spiritual, not just a spiritual warfare, but it's a spiritual confirmation that if we do not put a caution light, if we don't bring a community to speak up on this stuff, the future is in trouble. It's in trouble. And the thing is, that law will get passed on towards more states and around the country, around the globe. And then once you know it, by the time, I don't want to put this on you, but you may know somebody or even yourself, you may have kids. And then if they require you to do the exact same thing, would you do it? And if you don't do it and take your child from you, what you gonna do? And they threaten your life or they put you in prison for life, what you gonna do? They telling you what they wanted, and we been the test dummies. Our parents were the test dummies. Our forefathers were the test dummies, and majority or the minority of us, we were fortunate enough to still be biologically men and women. But there are many of our brothers and sisters who didn't make that battle. They didn't make that test site. They got altered. They got held back when we got let out and we were able to roam free in the experiment. There are many others who were still in the back of the classroom getting experimented on, and we didn't secretly know about it. So we grew up. Shit has to stop.
Just passed in California.
That makes no sense.
They want us to have no control over our children
I don't get it.
in schools
I don't
and
get it.
hospitals, libraries.
Yeah.
They just want to manipulate. You got to understand when they're so young and they're already, that's
Impressionable.
That's right.
Mhm.
And from them, they're going to believe what you say. I mean,
Yeah.
we say Santa Claus is real, you know, the
And they
Easter Bunny.
believe it, like,
right,
come on.
exactly.
Like, you gotta
they know what they're doing.
Remember who you're dealing with. Like I can't take credit for it, but I heard somebody say one time, he's like, all right, if your son comes to you and says, Daddy, I want to be a girl, ask your son, what is a girl?
That's a good one.
What is he going to do? He's going to say, well, he might want to play with dolls. All right, you want to play with dolls. Fine, play with dolls.
Right.
But you're a boy
Right.
playing with dolls.
That's
I want to
right.
wear pink. All right, cool, wear pink. But you're a boy
That's right.
wearing pink. No issue with the LBGT. I have no problem with none of it.
And that'd be the thing right there. Like, if your child wants to play with whatever, let your child play with whatever, but let them know that their gender is this. And they decide to keep on doing that because you can't tell a child to not play with this. You're going to tell your daughter to not play video games because it's for boys. You're going to tell your boy to not play with dolls because it's for girls. I mean, they want to do that. By all means, let them go and do that. You can't tell your daughter to not go outside and go play with her brother and sister in the mud or get scraped up playing on their bikes or playing sports or whatever and expect them to not have fun at the end. No, they're still going to be a girl, they're still going to be a boy, but just letting them go and have fun at that young age and not mentioning this stuff, like shoving it down their throat, that's the best way to help them. Let them have fun. But I do think questioning their question will make sense to them. What is a girl? What is a boy? And why do you think like that? Because I didn't bring that idea to you. So why do you have this thought? Your thought isn't wrong, but I don't know why you think like that. And here's what can happen if you think like that. So do you want to decide on that? Because if you do and you are my child, it's not happening. You can get mad all you want, but I won't let it happen under my roof. And if you do it outside of my roof, I still love your being either way it goes. But we got to have some consequences for that. Because I can't stop you from what you did because you weren't in my household. But if you were, things would have been changed.
With nobody. Okay,
Right.
love who you love, do what you do.
Exactly.
I just personally come from an era where a man was a man and a woman was a woman, and it wasn't but two genders, and that's just how I rocked.
Me
Now,
too.
you could identify as a goldfish if you feel it.
Right.
I don't care. That ain't my business. It becomes my business when you try to make me play the game with you. I'm not gonna call you a
Right.
goldfish, but you want to
Exactly.
be a goldfish, you go be a goldfish. It's all good.
Amen.
Exactly. Even though you're still a grown ass woman with some sense, but you're altered as well. I see what you mean. And the thing is, because somebody can be like, well, how can you tell with her? They're a part of it. They're all in the same exact club. And the thing is, people care about status and money over the people who have no status or money. So these people know that everybody who's not as famous as them, they're just as famous or more famous than them. That's where people get that whole disconnect in that realm from. But they're all a part of the same exact realm or ritual. So it ain't no difference. They're having a conversation amongst themselves and their own trauma. Okay. Yep, and these people are transformed in utero by the eighth week of pregnancy. The genitalia have not been formed yet. They inject the opposite hormone. A blood test will reveal there's testosterone presence in the mother's blood into the womb. The result is that the external part of the body is formed according to the hormone being injected. So a boy will be born with the skeleton of a woman with a penis, but he'll have to take external testosterone for the rest of his life. Conversely, if estrogen is injected, the boy will be born with a vagina but will not be able to have kids since they cannot pass through the narrow cavity in the pelvis. Old school transformers would just chop the testes of a boy or give the mother testosterone from animals in order to change the girl. Hollywood actress Charlize Theron, 49, brags about having a one-night stand with a 26-year-old.
With women, it's always like, something must be wrong with her. She can't keep a man. She must be a real bitch. What a cunt. I love that I don't have to run every fucking thing by a guy. I'm having the kind of sex I never had in my 20s or in my 30s. We should be the ones that are like, fuck you. Like, I'm gonna have an orgasm. But I did just recently fuck a 26-year-old and it was really fucking amazing. There's a casting for this movie and you have to go on Saturday night.
That's weird. But it's the kind of mentality that they have. They even said it out loud. It's just like, oh, what? Look, everybody have a black. Okay. Majority of these actors have borderline personality disorder, narcissistic personality disorder, antisocial personality disorder. A lot of overlap between these diagnoses as it's a spectrum that ultimately comes down to brain wiring, usually as a result of high stress and various forms of abuse and neglect. Exactly. Hollywood is especially fucked because when you get all these cluster bees together in a community, it's essentially a feedback loop where they are all trying to conform, virtue signal, and get validation with each other to be accepted with no empathy for what it's doing to their own children. And our parents are a part of it as well. So even in secret societies, when your parents go into Freemasonry, Luciferianism, for example, all they want to do is be accepted by people who lack the exact same empathy. Have you ever had a parent tell you love you instead of I love you? I imagine telling your parents I love you and they can only say they can only say love you. They can't even put I in front of it. Crazy. And people will think as if that's not that big of a deal, but it's a big deal when you are testing what your parents gave birth to. Do you really love what you gave birth to? Do you even love yourself? Do you even know what love is to yourself? That's why a lot of these parents, they just want to escape from their misery that they had to work on, and that's their fault. And they want us to be at fault for the problems that they gave birth to, and they didn't even want to fix what they accepted in their life. And so we got to give birth to newer lessons that were placed and traumatized onto our genetics or our neuromelanin.
So in Mr. Wojciechowski's response, he admits that he possessed the medical specimen and he admits that he disposed of them.
Okay.
I
No, I don't want to get copyrighted. No, I ain't gonna read that. So we're just gonna know the pattern here. Hollywood's elite. Ooh, thank you. Hollywood's elite adopt kids from overseas in the 2000s. Fast forward, half of them transition. Coincidence or engineered? It's engineered. They engineer these kids. And the thing is, they're not only giving birth to them, but they're replicating our genetics and they're just altering the clone version of our past self. So a lot of these children, they are our past growing up again, but it looks different because they got different families, different stress, different problems. But when you look at them, you're looking into a past version of what you used to be or what you were saved from being. We all know who's making the lifestyle choice. Come on now. More AI bullshit. It was about programming you. Now you all see. Exactly. Now you see what it takes to be a celebrity. Every aspect of your life is subservient to your public image, even your children. If you ever feel bad you're not famous, remember the price you had to pay. Exactly. Remember the price you would have to pay. Now go and put boy clothes on and be miserable. I just be like, bro, that conversation is so weird. That's just a weird conversation, bro. Hollywood is a horrible place to be. Money means nothing when you end up like this. So I feel like for when if you're a boy, wear some shorts or a sweater, some jeans. You don't got to put a skirt on. Leave that for the girls, man. Go let your sister play with that. You don't need to put no goddamn skirt on, my nigga. Because they had to sacrifice a child to Satan. Simple. This is child abuse, exactly. So how many children have been abused silently and nobody talks about it? No child believes they were born in the wrong body until a creepy adult deliberately puts that idea in their head. Subjects were open shot to convince regular people that being trans was normal. They sacrificed their own children for the agenda, using them as props to push brainwashing and manipulation on society. It's a horrible situation that has destroyed countless lives. Literally. And the thing is, if our because think about why celebrities have been here since our forefathers. It's a conditioning for adults who don't have a life to find their life due to mimicry of somebody else's sorcery. And when you follow that celebrity's life and you think as if you had to do the exact same practice, you will do that practice unknowingly to your children, not knowing who you're giving them up to. And when you're doing that and you're altering them from what they did not, what they didn't conform to, but what they were predestined into welcoming themselves into being alive in, you are consenting to child trafficking, child abuse, and you are abandoning their higher self. And not only just that, you are placing them into your damnation. That's why I didn't want to go too deep into this because this goes into the Kai Cenat video for part two because we do have that as well done. And this goes for all the future videos. So all the celebrities that we continue to do, the spiritual leaders or teachers, all of them are a part of this. And thing is too, you and I are a part of it as well. Only difference is you and I probably, we're not, well, not probably, but I know for me, I'm not inverted, but I was born into the inversion. So you as well may be born into the inversion and you're not inverted. But people around us, they are born into the inversion and they are inverted. So because we're fortunate in that sense, we cannot stop speaking on the things that are happening to our communities and our families because it's unnecessary to do these things just so you can fit into a bunch of space or beings that have no space inside to question what they're doing. It's no point of being around them when they don't even know themselves. And this stuff is not normal in our world or our dimension. So coming to this world, it's weird that most people don't even care about this stuff because their focus is so accepted on relying on other things outside them, so where these distractions are just a thing that's suppressed in the back of people's minds because they secretly know that they're being the example of what they look up to and what they idolize. So it makes sense on why commandments had to be given out to humanity because look at who they worship. They're worshiping themselves because their trauma and their traumatic experiences are the reason why they're so famous. It's not the character or the costume that's famous, it's their trauma behind closed doors that the handlers are telling people to look up to because they know what happened behind closed doors. Who do you think provides fame to people who never were famous? Have a great Nirvana Divine Reflection.